My name is Caroline Wangui Mwangi. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and a certified mediator. I practice under the name of style Caroline Mwangi and Associates Advocates. Our offices are along the Thika Superhighway on Matangi Road, James Chege Building, first floor, room 7. Our telephone number is 0718 856 211 or 0710 305 378. Our areas of practice: criminal law, family law, and the law of conveyancing. Let me take this opportunity to invite you to our YouTube channel where we will educate and learn from one another about the law as pertains to marriages, divorce, and all the other areas of law that touch on the families. This will include property within the families, children, what happens in the event that one of the partner dies in the marriage. So we will also talk about succession and business within the family and what are the obligations and the rights of partners in marriage. So I would like to invite you to walk with us as we learn and educate one another. Thank you.
Now let's talk about divorce. What is divorce? It's just simple terms.
I would say divorce signifies the end of marriage. It is the end of any legal marriage.
So I cannot stay in marriage forever.
No, you cannot stay in marriage forever because then the law cannot force you to stay in a marriage forever, and no person can compel you to be in a marriage if you do not want to be in it, because then it will be in violation of your rights, because you have a right to choose that I want this, that I do not want this, and this one is working, this one is not working. So divorce is a legal way out of a marriage that at that particular time is not working for either party.
Let's say this according to the law. What circumstances that the law looks when it comes to divorce? What leads to divorce according to
the Marriage Act, being the law that governs marriages, is the one that gives the grounds that need to be satisfied for a person to be granted a divorce. It is not, you just cannot wake up one morning and decide that I have had enough of this woman, then you want out. Because the family is very protected by the law. It is the basic unit of our society. So there are so many safeguards that have been put around family to protect it. Then again, there is also the element of protecting me as a person in a union that is not working for me. So the law provides those grounds, and you have to satisfy the court, because it is only the court that can give you a divorce. You can only get a divorce through the legally prescribed ways. Say, for example, if you're married and you decide that now I have decided to leave this marriage and you go forever, that one, you will not divorce from that woman. It is only the courts that can issue a divorce to parties. So if you deserted this marriage for a period of time, your partner, your husband or your wife can seek a divorce. If you're adulterous, if you're doing adulterous things, you're with another person and you're still married to this one, then that time you can also seek a divorce. And when the marriage has completely broken down, there is nothing but, there is nothing that is working between this man and this woman. Everything is just chaos and it just cannot work. Even if the families were to intervene and prayers and everything, prayer and fasting, nothing would work. Then the courts look at these circumstances and say that this one has completely broken down, and then they issue a divorce. At the point that the parents have divorced, it is important to note that both parents have an obligation to these children. So it is upon them to decide that, yes, it is not working between us, but we have children. And they can talk and decide that this child or these children are going to stay with the mother, or these children are going to stay with the father, depending on the agreement between both of them. If the parties cannot agree, then they can go to court for custody, for a custodial hearing, where the court will decide who is the best positioned to be with the children. The opinion of children, where it is an issue of divorce, cannot be considered. First of all, they are just a product of the marriage. They are not parties at all. So their opinion is not considered at all, because they did not take part in the marriage. They just found themselves as a result of the marriage. So consulting them, there's actually no provision that considers them. Maybe because of the family setup, children want their parents to be together, but in some situations, the children are even better off without the parents. It's better off that the children are away, that the parents are separated for the well-being of the children.
What happens after the divorce?
After the divorce, parties go their separate ways. Remember that as much as we are saying that a party can come to court to seek a divorce, the court should not say that there was a collusion. And by collusion, we say that it is now the parties are in agreement that let's get a divorce. It may happen, husband agrees with wife, and we can see that this one is not working. There could be that agreement between them, but the court, that should not be displayed to court. The court does not want to see that collusion because of what we've said, that the family is held in very high esteem within the society. So anything that seems to want to fight family is really not looked upon with very kind eyes. So as I was saying, after the divorce, parties go their separate ways. And by separate ways, it just means that before the eyes of the law, that you're no longer husband and wife. That does not mean that you cannot live in the same house. You still can live in the same house, just that both of you are not husband and wife anymore.
What if the divorce is finalized? Then they decide to reconcile.
Well, if the divorce is finalized, now this one is a divorced man and a divorced woman. Both of them are free. They are not under any marriages. So should they want to come back together, nothing prohibits them, nothing under the law prohibits them from coming back together and contracting another marriage.
So they can remarry?
Of course they can remarry. They can remarry each other, because when they were in this marriage and now they are divorced, meaning that they are free from their contractual obligation under the marriage. So they are free. So, and in this freedom, if they decide to choose each other, then the law cannot bar them from being together again in marriage. A person is allowed after divorce to marry another person. Remember that why we want this divorce, why you're seeking to be divorced, is so that you can be saved from the contractual obligations that you had under marriage. Remember, in marriage, you have duties to one another, you have duties to the family. So a divorce just exempts you from these duties, not to the children, but to the partner. So once that those of you are no longer obligated to perform those duties to somebody, the law allows you to contract another marriage where these obligations are going to be are going to be for another person. So you can marry and divorce. You can marry. The law does not give the number of times you can marry and divorce, as long as you satisfy the court that the grounds for divorce have been met. Then you can always get into another marriage after a divorce. And also, there is no time limit. You're not limited as to the period of time. Now, now you're divorced, you take 30 years, you take 5 years, you can actually start getting engaged or have an engagement for a marriage immediately once the divorce is finalized.
And once you present your case of divorce to the court of law, does the government do any investigations?
The government is not involved at all in divorce, because this was an agreement between two parties. This one was an agreement between two adults, two consenting adults. The government will never interfere. It cannot come to say, now give divorce or don't give divorce. Basically, it is just the person who has taken the divorce to court who needs to prove that indeed these grounds, as provided for by the law, they have been met, and I am warranted to get this divorce. The government does not interfere. The only situations where they would interfere, if maybe there was neglect of children after the divorce, but during the divorce proceedings, the government is completely hands-off. The only government intervention is the provision of the judiciary. But in terms of proof of the case, they do not interfere. Maybe perhaps if a wife were to show cruelty is a ground for that warrants want to get a divorce. So a person can be cruel to their partner and abuse, maybe physical, and the partner could have reported the same to the police. Then maybe the OB can be used just as proof during the divorce proceedings that indeed this person was cruel. But it is not the government sending its agents to come and prove anything in court.
And how long does the divorce process take?
The divorce process has no prescribed time limitation, but being a court process, it needs to be dealt with expeditiously. Remember, when we're talking about divorce, we're talking about people who have been married. So, and for some people, this a partner taking out divorce proceedings tends to be a wake-up call. By wake-up call, we mean that this person sees that they were making a mistake and they do not want to lose this partner, and so they amend their ways and the divorce proceedings are halted. They come to court and say that we no longer want the divorce. So how fast the divorce is finalized depends on the workload of the court and also on the parties themselves. For example, if a party keeps absenting themselves from during court proceedings, then those proceedings can take longer. But essentially, they should be handled expeditiously. There is also another legal process, a matrimonial process, a distribution of the matrimonial property process. It's also a legal process. If you cannot agree on how you're going to split your matrimonial property, then you can seek the court's intervention on how you distribute this property. But if you're able to amicably sort it, you do not have to seek the intervention of the court. So the court can intervene, and parties can also agree between themselves that I will take this, you take this, and yes.
Okay.